Okay, students. So before we proceed in essay 250, we were in the process of doing mind map, and we had done up to the fraud risk factors, and then we wrote 12 requirements. We will quickly write the requirements. Now, so we need not write about the professional skepticism because there is nothing much here. You have to maintain, you have to be always skeptical. Okay, so we can write the heading, not to lose the points. Skepticism. What is that one thing you want to tell here? Investigate. When under two circumstances, we can write like, when you talk about professional skepticism, how to investigate. When, if documents not authentic, if you feel the document is not authentic, you have to document, or inconsistent response to inquiry. So when you are asking questions, no, inconsistent, one person talks one thing, another person talks another thing. Yes, during this time, you have professional skepticism. Second, discussion with the team. Discussion with the team. Now, what is that you need to discuss? How, where, fraud can. What is that you should discuss with the team? How and where the fraud can occur. Okay. Third one, risk assessment procedures. Now, what are those risk assessment procedures? Well, one, inquiry with management and others. Who are others? At the intermediate level, you have studied internal auditors, sales department, person who is initiating, processing the document, marketing, research. Okay, these are all the legal counsel. These are all the other people. Second, you have to understand TCWG oversight of management's process. To mitigate fraud. Okay, what they have done to avoid the fraud or to mitigate the fraud. That's what they have to discuss, get an understanding. How you check that they are doing their job properly. Unexpected relationship. other information. That's it, done. So we have got only 4 elements. In fact, friends, we can write like this also: inquiry with the management and others, TCWG oversight. Enough. We need not actually tell all these stories and all, because that story is what we remember by reading the book. Simply say TCWG oversight, which is very easy to remember actually. Oversight on whom? When we know that it has become part of unexpected relationship while performing analytical procedures. So these are the keywords. I want you to remember these keywords. Inquiry with the management. Enough. Keyword. TCW word. See how easy it is to remember when you can express something in one word or two words. Going forward now, we will try to do that. We'll try to define the entire para, entire sentence with one word. That one word should make me remember entire para. Done. So we are done with the risk assessment procedure. Now, 4. Respond to assess RO overall response. I can response to overall. What is your response to overall risk of fraud? Assign and supervise team. Team is the keyword here. Best team you need to bring. Accounting policy you verify. You can verify the accounting policy. Unpredictability. Bring an element of. Fifth, what is your response at assertion risk? Your response overall risk. What is your response at assertion? Only one response. Nature, timing, extent of further audit. You decide nature, timing, extent of further audit. Like what type of audit procedure should I take? The test of control or substantive procedure? What time should I do? Or to what extent I should do? You have to do it and document it. Sixth, response to MC, management override of control. So we have got 3 responses. 1, appropriateness of journal entry. Review estimates. You can do fraud there. Significant transaction outside normal course of business, ONCB. Significant transactions outside normal course of business. In the business rationale. You have to have a document. Seven, evaluation of evidence What do you need to do? Evaluate. I can say like this. Misstatement is equal to indication of fraud. If you find any mistakes done, is it indicating fraud? Is it intentionally done? If yes, then check implication in other aspect. Then if any misstatement you find, first you check, is it an indicator of fraud? Yes. Then you have to find implication in other audits, other aspects of audit. Like, okay, is the same person has done fraud there also? They have done here also. Now, point number 8, auditor unable to continue. First, what you should do if you encounter such exceptional circumstances? Determine need to report. Okay, because if you are facing such issue, first check, should you go and report someone? Second, consider, that means carefully think, deeply think to withdraw. Should I withdraw? Withdrawal should not be an abrupt decision. You should consider. Consider means deeply think. The morning I have given in the WhatsApp, review document and consider document, different. And if you decide to withdraw, if withdraw, then two things you are supposed to do. Discuss. If you decide to withdraw, discuss with the TCWG what the reason, and check responsibility to report to regulators. Do you have a professional or regulatory responsibility to report outsiders? I can say outsider. Who is that outsiders? ICI, SEBI, RBI, IRDA. You have to check your responsibility. Am I supposed to tell someone that I am resigning from this audit firm or from this client? Point number 9, management representation. You have to take the management representation. What is that? First, responsibility for internal control, that they have acknowledged that it is their responsibility to establish internal control. Through that, they can stop the opportunity. Disclosed management's assessment, that whatever assessment they have done, all fraud risk factors what they have identified, they have given to the auditor. Disclosed known fraud or suspected fraud. And fourth, disclosed allegations of, you write these 4 points in the exam with your own English language. But at the end, no, for an evaluator, they should be able to see these components. And you need to tell very clearly what is the meaning of this responsibility for internal control. The management have acknowledged that they have taken the responsibility. They have disclosed all the assessment of the results of their assessment so that it can be helpful to the auditor. And you are in English also there, no problem. 10, communication with management, CWG. All fraud, you communicate to management. Management fraud, you communicate to. This is the crux, what they are trying to tell. Eleventh, communication to regulatory. You need to do, determine responsibility. That's it. Just check, do you have any responsibility? If yes, you please disclose. If you don't have responsibility, you don't need to tell. The 12th one is the documentation. So five things you need to document. I've given you in the home there. One, discussion with the team. Financial statement level, risk of ROMM, of fraud. Okay, now so you can say both level. ROMM due to fraud, you can say like this. Assessed ROMM. Now we can say like this. All identified and assessed ROMM due to fraud. And we know assessed means overall level, assessed level. Third, response. Overall, nature, timing, extent of procedures for assertion level with linkage. So you have to respond what is your overall level and what is your nature timing extent at the assertion level with the linkage. And the third one, management override of control, MOC. What is your response for management? There were 3 responses that you need to do. Communications, conclusion, that revenue fraud not applicable. So if auditor has concluded that revenue recognition fraud is not applicable, that also has to be documented. Yes, so we have completed with this. So now we can move on to the next topic, next concept, that is your SA 250. So SA 250, consideration of law and regulation. Okay, before we proceed, I'll ask you one very simple question, student. When you go to an organization, you find that there are child laborers. What you will do? Will you go and complain? You know that they are doing unethical practices, or they have left the polluting water to the nearby sea or river. What is your response now? What you are supposed to do? If they are doing tax frauds, what you will do? See, these are all the cases of non-compliance with the laws and regulations. So what is the auditor's responsibility when the non-compliance has been detected, or what is your responsibility towards law? So SA 250 deals with the responsibility. It does not apply to other assurance engagement in which auditors specifically engage to test and report on the compliance with the law. Like if you are appointed to do transfer pricing under Income Tax Act, no, those things are not covered here. This is only from the audit point of view. What is your responsibility towards law? Now, what is an effect? Okay, first thing, we have to bifurcate every law which is applicable to a company into 2 buckets from an audit point of view. One, we can call it as a direct law. Second, we can call it as a other law. Now, what is a direct law from an audit point of view? See, so many laws, so many acts are applicable to a company, to any business firm. Now, what is a direct law? You can directly see it in the financial statement. Like, for example, Income Tax Act, GST, PF. Okay. So, all these things, no, you can see that component in the balance sheet. Something is due, something is payable. So, those affect the financial statement and you can actually see that component. Now, there are so many other laws like Food Control Act, MSG Act, Environmental Protection Act, Employee Safety Act, okay, your Gender Equality Act. God knows, hundreds and thousands of acts can be there, which it doesn't have directly, you cannot see in the balance sheet. Like for example, your Environmental Protection Act. What do you see in the balance sheet? What item, which ledger you have created? Not there. But the moment somebody comes to know that you have left the toxic air without filtering, this law has got provision to close your business. So these other laws have got a fundamental impact on the working of the business. Please understand. They're not small acts there. They can make your organization to close down. So when you talk about auditor's responsibility, we have to talk about two laws. One is direct law, which can be seen in the balance sheet and the P&L, and there is other law. This is what they are trying to tell. Some loss has got a direct effect on the financial statement. It can be amounts or disclosure. Other laws are there. They do not have a direct effect on the entity's financial statement, but if you don't comply with them, okay, then it can have a very big impact on the conduct of the business. So non-compliance of the law may result into fines and penalties and litigations. Okay, so we'll move on. What is the auditor as per SA 250? Three objectives. One, since I told you there are two types of law called the direct law and other law. What is your objective towards direct law? Since they are directly seen in the balance sheet, obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence relating to the compliance with the direct law. That means whatever direct laws are there, you have to see have they complied it. Otherwise, you have to make provision for fines and penalty. Income tax. Have you paid the advance tax from time to time? Is GST receivable is proper? Input tax credit is proper? Have you properly paid monthly output credit, output tax? You have to verify it. But the problem with the other law, this is not directly seen in the balance sheet. You cannot directly see the other laws in the balance sheet. So that is why you have to perform specific audit procedure. Please understand, you have to obtain sufficient evidence for direct law, specific audit procedures for identify the non-instances of other laws. Is any non-instance happen? Either you have to see compliance, either you should see only non-compliance. Compliance you are not required to see because that is their job. You have to see, okay, whether are they leaving sewage water or toxic water, you are not required to see. Have they left in any case? That's what you have to verify. And respond appropriately for any non-compliance or suspected non-compliance. Because when you perform this, you may come across any cases where non-compliance happened. You have to respond appropriately. Now, whose responsibility is to comply with the law and regulation? Just like we saw, whose responsibility is to prevent the fraud? Undisputedly, this responsibility go to the management and TCWG because they are learning the business, but they should be aware. Like for example, is there any law applicable to you? Yeah, ICA regulations are applicable. And one of the regulations says that if you are planning to write in November, you have to apply, you have to apply for the examination. It is whose responsibility? It is your responsibility. Can you blame a faculty that I didn't apply for the exam, you didn't tell me? See, an auditor need not, auditor is more like a business partner there. Followed, no? Similarly, which law is applicable to you, what compliance procedures you need to see, okay, should you write this form exam before, advanced it has to be completed. See, these are all the laws applicable to you, which is you only have to see it. Similarly, business has to see it. Now one question comes, how business will ensure that they are doing it? Very important question in the examination. Following are the policies and procedure. What is the alternative name for policies and procedure? Internal control. See, what all the internal controls an entity may implement to see that non-compliance with the laws and regulations, which is famously called no-clap, is not happening. Yes, one, you have to monitor the legal requirement and you need to see operating procedures are designed to meet this requirement. So first you see what my law requires. Yes, law requires that you don't add MSG. So your operating procedure should strictly prohibit that adding MSG in Maggi. Instituting on systems of internal controls, develop and publicize a code of conduct, because see, tomorrow harassment happen, you see, in TCS and all, we have got so many cases coming out. There will be some law, unnecessarily a company got dragged into, because of the conduct of the employees. So develop and publicize the code of conduct for employees. See that employees are properly trained and understand that code of conduct. Tomorrow they should not tell we didn't knew. Monitor the compliance with the code and take discipline employees who fail to comply with, take corrective actions. Engage the legal advisors and maintain some registers. Like with that register, you come to know what is the due date, have you complied with. Today, all these registers are covered in ERP system, or there will be application softwares to see the compliances. But these are all the internal controls which you can establish. So how easy, I hope it's very easy to remember. At least you can remember something, that put some internal control, develop the code of ethics, appoint the legal advisors, maintain the registers. If 4 points you can remember, were more than enough. And train and take disciplinary actions against the people. Now, what is the responsibility of the auditor? If the compliance is the responsibility of the management, so auditor is not responsible to prevent the non-compliance, because we cannot detect. Why? Because we are not judge, we are not court. Our job is to obtain reasonable assurance that there is no misstatement. We have to consider the regulatory framework, but we cannot judge, because there are inherent limitations of an audit, because we may not be able to detect the non-compliances. Now one question comes, please mark this also important. Why auditor is not in a position to detect the non-compliance? See, understood, no? Our responsibility is, see, prevention of non-compliance, so totally we are out. That is the responsibility of the management, because our objective is to obtain reasonable assurance on the financial statements. So why that responsibility to prevent the non-compliance has to be given to us? Okay, then at least say, somebody may say, Chala Baba, non-compliance prevention, so you don't take responsibility. At least take detection responsibility. But still we say that no, we may not be able to detect the non-compliance. Why? Because we have got inherent limitations of an audit. Now somebody says, tell me why? What are the inherent limitations you have got? Okay, you see this. Why we will not be able to detect also? Forget about prevent. Prevent, so none of our business. In the context of law and regulations, there are certain inherent limitations on the auditor's ability to detect. Please understand, we are not talking about prevent. Prevent, though, we will not discuss only. But why we cannot detect? Because many laws and regulations which are affecting the operations do not affect the financial statement and not captured by the information system. Like, how do I have a dream now that so many laws are applicable to you? Like Trade Union Act, Municipality Act. If something is coming on the face of the financial statement, yes, it is very reasonable for you to expect from me that non-compliances I would have identified. That's why we learn Income Tax Act, GST Act and all, because they are the primary items in the financial statements. Hindu Succession Act and all we will not study, because they are not seen in the financial statement. But for a client, is the Hindu Succession Act, Hindu Joint Family Act and all those things, Hindu Undivided Family Act and all applicable? Like, how you can expect me to see something which is visible on the financial statement? That's why we say we cannot detect. Second, sometimes when the non-compliance happen, no, you design to conceal that. Management always try to conceal with the collusion, forgery, not recording, management override of control. Like somebody died by drinking the juice prepared by your client. Do you think the first thing they will come and tell the auditor, so people died, some case is there on our head and all? No, the moment auditor here is, the first they say make a provision, and making a provision will bring down the profitability. The best thing is what? Tell everyone except auditor. So when that case has been filed, don't put that FIR copy or whatever court case in the file. Keep it outside. Now, you tell me, friend, how an auditor will come to know that there is one case on your head? Third, whether an act is really a non-compliance or not, that is a matter of legal determination. Court has to decide. Who am I to decide? And that one law subject we had, they had put it as SPOM subject. How you can expect me? And you know, students, why they have put it as SPOM? What they may be the intention? Please understand. You see this language and all, why they have made it so complex, difficult. See, every profession wants to protect themselves. Like, we have to protect our profession, our members. And your strategic management comes, there are so many other predators also, in the form of CMA, in the form of CS, in the form of your CFAs. See, every profession try to protect themselves. So they want to show that their profession is very complex. This you can see, students, the moment you start reading index, see the language of the standard, very complicated. But at the core, it's very simple. You see, Companies Act, you take any act, Foreign Regulation Management Act, see the provisions, very complicated. Notwithstanding, ayo. And after they put comma, no, they take this particular portion, put it somewhere else. If this, that, see, they make us very difficult. Now, who can understand that very easily? A lawyer can understand because they are professionals. Again, I am reminding you from time to time, friends, don't read simple lines because you are a professional. You are supposed to understand this language. Why? Because nobody else understands this. Tomorrow, this becomes your USP. Like this, no? See, doctors, they made the medicine names so complicated. Why they can't keep simple names? Because if you keep it simple name, everybody will understand. But please understand, students, behind every complexity, whichever profession brings, there is always a simplicity. Within clutter, there is always a simplicity. This is what Albert Einstein says. You have to put that effort to figure out that simplicity. Then you will be able to, and then when you talk to the third party, talk in a complicated language. Let them be afraid of you. But when you talk to your colleagues, when you talk to someone else, talk to language. Okay, why we are discussing this? Why they remove SPOM now? Because SPOM, that this law subject, is a subject matter of company secretaries. They are asking, Are Baba, by teaching your students company act and all, will you take our opportunities? Because tomorrow we can become that compliance auditors. Because there are a lot of people who are CACS. They can take. Why costing was taken? Because costing is CMA professionals core subject. Like accounts and audit is for us, law is for them, costing is for them. So that's why they made us weak by taking these two subjects. So that we will not look into their domain. Like we have not given them full accounts. Some basic accounts they teach. That's it. But extraordinary, the next level, Ind-AS accounting, only we teach. Nobody else in India. The way the corporates are accounting, only we know. This is how it works. Anyhow, for your information. Now let us go and see one test your knowledge question, friends. Test your knowledge 3. You are the auditor of one social media company. Government has tightened the noose with related to in this segment by bringing some regulatory legislations. The keyword for you. From this word, you need to understand this is chapter number 2, SCA 250. To protect the interest of the users. Yeah, we have come across this Data Protection Act information because you are putting somebody's video in the this thing. You are bringing violent videos. So since you are a social media company like a Twitter, you have got a YouTube and all, they have put certain regulations. How can you proceed to verify that the company is complying with the regulatory requirement? Besides, what does above situation underscore you as an auditor? Like, how do you know whether the company is complying? For this, they have to put internal control system. For this, you have to talk about this one. So you have to verify their internal control system. Have they designed appropriate internal control? Have they sensitized the employees what is right, what is wrong? Have they appointed legal advisors? Okay, they have given only 3 points. So you can write all the points. Now, what does the above situation underscore you as an employee? Now your financial stability of the company will be under pressure due to new regulatory requirements. Now what happened? No, you cannot show so many contents. And if you are not going to show the contents, advertisement revenue is not going to come to you because government has put strict regulations not to show certain set of contents, or they have banned all below 18 years. No more mobile or social media. Now because of this, no, you will be under intense pressure to earn revenue, and this can be one of the fraud risk factor. This is something more like an L3 question. See, what does the above situations show to you? It shows me a fraud risk factor. Anyhow, any one of the point also you addressed, that's also fine. Okay, now next question they asked. Discuss why the potential effect of inherent limitations to detect material misstatement as per SA 200 is far greater for non-compliance with the law. That means why you are not able to detect non-compliance with the law. Just now we have seen, yes, there are many laws which are not directly in the financial statement. There can be concealing of them if non-compliance could have been concealed. and auditor is not a judge to determine the whether the non-compliance has really happened or not. I hope it's clear. It's much easier, students, as compared to previous. It is very easy. Now, SA 250 distinguishes auditor's responsibility into two different categories, which already we have seen at the time of objective. There is a law which has got a direct effect on the financial statement, other law which do not have a direct effect, but their compliance is very fundamental. Like for example, compliance with the terms of operating license has been issued to you, export license, solvency requirements, environmental regulations. The moment you not comply with this, they can revoke your license, like NBFC, solvency requirements. So when we talk about the responsibility, we have to talk in terms of direct loss, in terms of other laws. For compliance with the provision of those laws that has got direct effect, you have to obtain sufficient appropriate evidence. For other laws, you have to perform specific procedure to identify the non-compliance. So objective only they have spoken here. So we will move on. Auditor should remain alert. Okay. Now let us go here. Second question, September 25 examination question. Now AJ Limited is a company in the business of textile manufacturing having factory in Noida. Due to recent fire incident, see Delhi, one fire incident happened, pathetic. Now the government is bringing one restriction. Delhi government is bringing no that bread and breakfast type of concept of hotels. Like you cannot have hotels. You need to have a proper hotels only. See, this after incident that type of issues came. So the local authority of Noida passed a regulation where you have to obtain compulsorily fire NOC. Okay, this is the introductory part. Means there was a fire and you have to bring one NOC. You are appointed as an auditor of the company, and during your initial risk assessment phase, you observe that the company is not possessing NOC. Oh, now either you will, and what is this? Is it a direct law or other law? It's another law. And what is the implication of it? Your company can get closed. Now you approach TCWG and requested to provide the justification. But they are the opinion, what NOC has to do with the financial statement, Baba? Why you are asking about all these things? Your job, you came here to verify the financial statement. Now you verify and go. Why you are concerned whether NOC is there or not? This is ulta they are asking. What is your responsibility in respect to non-compliance? And I always tell you students, the moment verb becomes what and the word comes responsibility, write objective. So first you start your answer that your objective of SA 250 that you have got two different type of law and other law. In such cases, you have to check the compliance with the law and you have to obtain sufficient appropriate evidence. For other law, you have to check the identify the non-compliance by performing specific procedures. Same para they have written. Therefore, and you see this was in the form of a para. That's why this is an indication. No? This picture is an indication they will ask you in the exam. See, this entire question is based on this particular para. Therefore, auditor should ensure that there can be penal provision, make disclosures, make provision for amount. If the auditor concludes that such non-compliance has got a material effect, not been reflected, he shall express an adverse or a qualified opinion on the financial statement. Done. That's it. Okay, so this is what it has come in the examination. Okay, so now onwards, we have to talk about the considerations or audit procedures or elements. Like after objective, we will write what we are supposed to do, that we will do, that we have to do. Okay, now we will do one mind mapping, okay, of the concepts. Okay, very simple here. Right? Concept 2, SA 240, which you have to study. First of all, types of law. Direct law. You can write other law. direct effect on financial statement, fundamental to business operation. Okay, objective we will write later. Now, what is responsibility? CCWG or management auditor. They are responsible to prevent, detect, correct, no claim, non-compliance with laws and regulation. Question comes, how they do it? Okay, one, monitor legal requirement. Internal controls, we can write setup internal control. Develop code of conduct. Train, because having developing code of conduct is not required, you have to train. After you train, you have to monitor compliance, that the employee have to follow that. Appoint or take action if non-compliance comes, take action. Legal advisors, appoint legal advisors. The last one, register, maintain register. So these are all the internal controls which an organization can have, has to have, to prevent, detect, correct non-compliance. So you can write in one word what exactly it can do. Now, what is the auditor's responsibility? Obtain reasonable assurance on financial statement. Then one question comes, why can't detect? Why auditor cannot detect? The auditor should have been in a position to detect, no? The reason here, one, non-capture. Okay, I can simply write the word non-capture, so you understand it. That means loss have not been captured. Second, concealing. Somebody could have concealed it through collusion, forgery, override of controls, misrepresentation. And third, legal determination. You can write legal determination. That means you are not a lawyer, judge to determine whether the non-compliance has happened or not. Legal teaching. See, one word. You write one word, so you get a flow. And when you revise, students, you see with this how easy it is. Okay, now we will write the objective. What is the objective? One, obtain SAAE for compliance with direct law. Second, specific procedure, perform specific procedure for non-compliance. The ulta for other laws. To obtain sufficient appropriate evidence for compliance with the direct law, perform specific procedures for non-compliance with other law, and third one, respond actual non-compliance or respond to non-compliance or suspected non-compliance. Actual or suspected. Okay, how you are going to do it? How you are going to achieve this objective? Or what is your requirement? One, which we are going to discuss tomorrow. Obtain, understand, or understand or obtain understanding. I can say like that because we have to get multiple things here. Obtain understanding of what? We will see that. Then second, obtain SAAE for direct law. Third, perform specific procedure for other law. Fourth, procedure for non-compliance identified. Or suspected. No clear? Fifth, reporting. And sixth, documentation. Yes, done. Simple, very small standard. Quickly we may be able to complete tomorrow. Then we can be able to go to SA 260, 265, 260, 299. And then maybe within tomorrow, day after tomorrow, we will be able to finish second chapter also. You see, students, very good. You just started out of 19 chapters. 2 chapters we are about to finish.